So hello everyone, I hope you're doing great. So in this video, we will learn new lesson today. So before we start, I will introduce myself. So I am Jay CASIMERO, as well as my co-members Matthew CORTES, Charmy and CEZAR, and Charlene CORROS. And the topic we will talk about is about communication and globalization. So in this topic, we will learn how communication and globalization are connected and how these two are affects us. So let's start. So communication and globalization. Globalization is the act or process of globalizing. The state of being globalized, especially the development of an increasingly integrated global economy, marked especially by free trade, free flow of capital, and the tapping of foreign labor markets. So globalization is the act or process of globalizing. So when we say globalizing, it means to develop or to be developed. So the goal of globalization is to increase the global economy, especially the free trade, free flow of capital, and the tapping of cheaper foreign labor markets. So globalization and global are terms we often encounter today. These terms are associated with realities outside the territories of nation state. All countries are engaged in globalization. Very few societies are unaffected by this phenomenon. Because of this, we need to understand exactly what it is and more importantly, how it impacts communication. So globalization and global, these two terms are we encountered today. So it is very important to us to understand how globalization is important and especially how it affects to communication. So how do you think cultural and global issue affect communication? So connecting with people on the other side of the world is now much easier than it was a few years ago. Satellites, fiber optic, cables, and the internet make it effortless to share information with those in different time zones and locations. Global communication is directly affected by this process of globalization and helps to increase business opportunities, remove cultural barriers, and develop a global village. So both globalization and global communication have changed the environmental, cultural, political, and economic elements of the world. So because of technologies, internets, and gadgets, it is much more easier to communicate and to associate with other countries. And yet, we are still progressing in terms of technologies. So, globalization affects the global communication. Also, it helps to it helps to increase business opportunities, remove cultural barriers, and to develop a global village. So we will talk how globalization affect these three. So first, we have increased business opportunities. So many companies today hire employees that are located in other countries. So using communication vehicles such as video calling make it simple to converse with colleagues across the globe. So almost making it feel as if they are in the same room. So technology also make it easier to connect with suppliers and customers all over the world. And to streamline those relationships through improved ordering, shipment, tracking, and so on. With this kind of communication technology, many businesses are able to take advantage of opportunities in different countries or cities. So improving the economic outlook on a global level. So next is the fewer cultural barriers. So many people perceive culture to be root of communication challenges. When people from two different countries try to exchange information, the way they speak, their body language, or their mannerism can be interpreted differently by the other person. The way people approach problems and how they participate in communities is all influenced by culture. So globalization has made it possible. For example, for someone in Japan to understand how someone in the US goes about their day. So with television and movies, cultural barriers are becoming less prevalent. Being able to communicate effectively and frequently with colleagues or friends across the planet helps people understand each other's culture a little better. So next is the creation of a global village. So we likely heard the term global village, which coined by the tourist Marshall McLuhan. So globalization and global communication, the global village is created when distance and isolation no longer matter because people are connected by technologies. Widespread telephone and internet access have been life-changing for many people across the world, especially those in developing countries. So that's how globalization affects the tree. So globalization is the process by which people and goods move easily across borders. Principally, it's an economic concept. The integration of markets, trade, and investment with few barriers to slow the flow of products and services between nations. There is also a cultural element as ideas and traditions are traded and assimilated. Globalization has brought many benefits to many people but not to everyone. So globalization it is a process which people in two or more different countries exchanging products. Also, globalization helps to improve one's economy. Next is how did globalization happen? So we may think of globalization as a relatively new phenomenon, but it's been around for centuries. So when we say globalization, we think that this term starts during 21st century. But based on my research, globalization occurred around the middle of 19th century to increase capital and labor mobility. Next is what drives it. So what drives globalization? Globalization has speeded up enormously over the last half century, thanks to great leaps of technology. The internet has revolutionized connectivity and communication and helped people share their ideas much more widely, just as the invention of printing press did in the 15th century. The advent of email made communication faster than ever. So the invention of enormous container ships helps too. In fact, improvement in transport generally faster ships, trains, and airplanes have allowed us to move around the globe much more easily. So, because of technology, globalization speeded up these past years. Before, they used printing press, which is difficult because it cannot retain data and it takes a long time to process. But now, because the advent of email, the messages and communication is faster than ever. Other than that, ships, airplanes, and trains, it helps us to move or to exchange products more easily. So, what's good about it? So, globalization has led to many millions of people being lifted to poverty. Globalization has not only allowed nations to trade with each other, but also to cooperate to each other as never before. So the developing countries such as like India, China, and some point of Africa, the economies of these countries have improved under the influence of globalization. Also, globalization is not only to trade products, to exchange products, but also the goal of globalization is that each countries need to cooperate that never happened before. So when there is good about the globalization, there is also bad about it. So what's bad about globalization? While some areas have flourished, others have floundered as jobs and commerce move elsewhere. Every step forward in technology brings with it new danger. Computers have easily improved our lives, but cyber criminals steal millions of pounds a year. Global wealth has skyrocketed but also has global warming. Basically, done wisely, globalization could lead to unparalleled peace and prosperity, done poorly to disaster by IMF. So technology is a very big help to us, but in some point, technology will lead us to danger too. Some cyber criminals like hacker can steal a millions of money a year. So, but the most widely accepted conclusions is that globalization has contributed largely its two inequalities in developing nations, better opportunities in more developed countries, and have lead to a lot of educated people being lured away. So that's all about my report. So the next reporter would be Matthew Cortez. Thank you.
So, hello everyone, I'm Matthew Cortez and I will continue the presentation. So, I will be discussing the impact of globalization on communication, which includes the increasing number of business opportunity, creating global village, and how communication breaks barriers, and also how communication inspires. And also, we're gonna be discussing the article of Miss Sherry Turkle entitled The Fight from Conversation. So, first of all, the impact of globalization on communication. As more people cross borders because of globalization, more language contact happen, and making communication to the others is more challenging as ever. La For example, you're on a vacation to the other country and unable to communicate, we use English as a communication. And the most challenging part is you can't speak English. Like, struggle is real. Right now, we'll be proceed to increase business opportunities using communication vehicles such as video calling. And video calling make it simple to converse with other colleagues across the globe, almost making it feels as they are in the same room. And also with this kind of communication technology, many businesses are able to take advantage of opportunities in different countries or cities, improving the economic outlook on a global level. For example, some producer making a video for their products and services. So in that way, they will gain some customers from uploading it in social media like Facebook, Twitter, IG, YouTube, and many more. Since they gain customer, they will be gaining profit in that. Okay. Next is creation of global village. So global village, coined by theorist Marshall McLuhan, affected both globalization and global communication. The global village is created when distance and isolation is no longer matter because people are connected by technology. Widespread telephone and internet access have been life-changing for many people across the world, especially for those in developing countries. So, globalization and global communication have made it easier to people to see on the other side of the world as a neighbor instead of a stranger from faraway land. And there is so much knowledge about the other countries and cultures available online. So that is no longer a complete mystery. And we're gonna be discussing how communication break down barriers. When you are communicating with someone in their own language or style, there is understanding. And with this understanding, there is empathy, there is connection. How communication inspires. So there is something about the written or spoken word that inspire us to be better than we could be in our own. Something that unites us and connects us to the ideas in extraordinary ways. Now we're gonna be discussing the article of Monsieur Turkle entitled The Fight from Conversation. So, ang butang na naman diri is ang discussion. Kaya mahaba ang article, so download na lang kamo sa ara man sa amo sa module. So, download na lang kamo guys. So, the article of Miss Sherry Turkle was all about on this generation of people is losing their ability to communicate via face-to-face, and how we are always communicating on social media websites. The widespread emergence of technology has been a great impact on our lives, as it was stated in the article. In this article also, the author focuses on how communication is being sacrificed for the technology. The types of technology are mentioned in this article where social media, emails, text messages, and artificial intelligence, which are some of the things replacing regular face-to-face conversations. And the other thing mentioned by Turkle in her article is that she prefers face-to-face conversation over technology because it reduces our interpersonal skills, patience, and self-reflective skills. Technology is such a great advance in our society, but certain aspects of day-to-day life cannot be attained through these online techniques. That's be all. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I am Charmian CEZAR. I am the third reporter of Group 2. So for today, I am going to discuss about how communication in our society is affected by the rapid growth of technology. So first, isolation. Technology pushes us to forget that we should have to socialize with other people, simply because we are too busy using these technologies than building a great bond with those people that surround us. Okay, when I say isolation, innovation like cell phones through web-based media has everlastingly changed the manner in which we interact with each other. Such platforms use approach more credible social encounters in light of the fact that the additional time an individual spends on the web, the less time there is for genuine associations. Technology was even introduced to have us all connected. However, it results the other way around, and I think we have a huge part why that is. Must we all remember, the more time we spend to our phone, the lesser the opportunity we can bond with people around us. Okay, next is the technology addiction. Technology may also bring bad effects in humans' life, addiction as it is. Technology took over our life, and that results to losing our ability to function as normal people. We are controlled by these technologies instead that we control it. Technology is a useful servant but a dangerous master, by Christian Lewis Lange. Okay, so when we say technology addiction, I believe this is more likely to occur among teens as they make use of technology most. Technology is indeed helpful. Today, we can even say living will not be as easy as this without modern innovation until addiction. It has become so useful that it almost has taken over many lives negatively. We should be the one who is in control of technology as we continue to use, not controlled. I am also going to discuss about how social media makes history. Clay Shirky is a social media theorist, American writer, and a teacher. According to him, the media, if it's good on creating conversations, is no good in creating groups. The media that is good in creating groups is no good in creating conversations. This is the media landscape we had, the 20th century innovation, then it changed over time. The internet was the first media in the history with native supports for groups and conversation at the same time. Internet also became the motive carriage of all other media, and that means every medium is right next door to every media. It brings other languages closer than ever before. Okay, so Clay Shirky is again a social media theorist. He technically addresses the social context of human actions, arguing that the ways in which we act and our beliefs are generated partly by social structure but also in communication between individuals and in social groups. Shirky argued that if you want to have a conversation in this world, you have it with one other person. The internet is the primary medium in history that has local hub for gatherings and, interestingly, media is locally acceptable at supporting these sorts of discussions. The media has truly changed a lot over years. Online conversation enables wider range of communication over participants. The larger cause is more likely to be achieved. That's all. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I am Charlene CORROS from BSED Science 1B and I am one of the members of Group 2. So, wiring a web for global good. As the media became social, innovation also takes place anywhere. When we look way back 100 or even 1,000 years ago, we can see how media became digitized to the point that in just one click, we can already connect with other people around the globe. Communication is important as it creates a connection and a bridge for a better understanding. Distance is not a hindrance to share information. But there's also miscommunication. For example, when you leave a message for someone and it doesn't get recorded properly, this is an example of miscommunication. When communication breaks down, the relationships of the people trying to communicate also breaks down. Technology has become a vehicle for human expression. The internet itself is a wide network that can inspire and become a rallying point for people. This explains that great accomplishments can be had through the sharing of information through the web, and how it illuminates to people the interconnectedness of the earth. Effective communication does not just include the way we use the words but also covers several other skills such as nonverbal communication, ability to speak militantly, and the ability to understand your own emotions as well as of the other person that you are communicating with. A good communication is very significant. A communication that would benefit the majority and will result to a better global society. Connected but alone. It is true that what this virtual world wants to denote us is about ourselves, about our identity to live better lives in the real world. These technologies or devices we have makes our lives easier and efficient. Nowadays, we probably sleep with our cell phones, laptops, and other gadgets at night. It consumed a huge hour spending on Facebook, Messenger, and other applications. Most significant is spending time texting with someone special late at night. What would be one of the problems is that even parents don't even give their full attention to their children because even at breakfast, they are just facing their gadgets, doing emails and texting while their children complain about not having their parents' full attention. Here, Sherry Turkle addresses our problematic relationship to technology and explains that although technology is exciting, we are letting it take us places that we don't want to go. It seems some people turn to technology in order to fill a void of loneliness. Yes, we can't deny that because most of us now are only entertained by these technologies. We are obsessed with our technological devices and they redefine the way we interact and communicate with others, as well as the way we reflect on and define ourselves. Turkle points out there are many downfalls to being too hooked on technology. People don't like feeling alone and their solution is to be connected. But connection leads to isolation. Always being connected to not feel alone ironically makes you more alone. We may think that this is just our relationships that are affected, but there are a list of things that can result from problematic smartphone use. This list includes psychological effects like anxiety, depression, memory problems, sleep problems, and a poor ability to make decisions. There's also physical effects like poor posture. Just like now, learning is done by paying attention to Facebook rather than a teacher, and the family time is no longer what it was once. So, this just means that there's also a disadvantage of using these technologies. It takes all the quality time that we should spend with our family and loved ones. That's why at home, families are all connected but alone together. Technology is appealing because of three reasons. It allows us to control where our attention is placed. We will always be heard, and we will never be alone. We are drawn to sacrifice conversation for mere connection. Research indicates that when humans excessively use digital media, it can negatively influence their cognitive and behavioral development and even their mental and physical health. That's why the main goal of this is not to get rid of these devices, but to generate a self-aware relationship with technology, others, and ourselves. Self-awareness is a must. Digital technology is still infancy, and there is no ample time for us to reshape how we build it and use it. And that's all for my report. Thank you for watching.